You recording okay? We got that now.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so it is 5 a.m. here in the States, and where are you at in the world today?
We're actually in Vienna in Austria,
Wonderful.
and we're on
And
a
you're on
tour.
tour currently with Judas Priest, of all people. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, Judas Priest,
Um,
Saxon, Uriah Heep. Yeah,
all right, so we're sitting down today with Mick Box, legendary
yeah.
guitarist from the band Uriah Heep. this,
Are
this is
you
such a
there?
thrill for me. Thank you. I am here. Yes. Can you hear me?
You've gone dead. Um,
Oh,
I don't think there's anything. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine, Mick.
Oh, good, good, good. Okay. The
Okay.
the it just says the internet connection was unstable, but yeah, we're in
Okay.
Vienna in Austria, and we worked our way through England, right through Europe, from Poland and Czech Republic, and now we're in Vienna, and then we go on to Bâle in Switzerland, and then from them we fly to Florida and we do a rock cruise for a week. Then we come back to England for 8 days. Then we start the 5 week tour of America that we're talking about.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I had some of our listeners send in some questions, and then I have some as well, and we'll just go ahead and get started with some interview stuff. And thank you again for joining me. This is a big thrill for me. I personally discovered Uriah Heep on the very first time I went out digging records when I was 16, and I'm 40. I found a copy of Demons and Wizards and Return to Fantasy, and I became a huge fan ever since then. So this is really really cool for me. When you
That's
were
great.
young, do you remember the first albums that you found or bought when you were a young person?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I when I started playing the guitar, I had a few lessons from a teacher that lived in the East End of London, where I was living at the time, called Walthamstow. And he was a guy called Alan Hodgkinson, and he was the second guitarist to Django Reinhardt. So most of my early learning was very jazz orientated, Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, people like that, and
Uh,
Les Paul, Mary Ford, of course. So my first actual record I bought was an EP, funny enough, Les Paul and Mary Ford, and the actual song was called Nola. And I can remember vividly trying to learn it by dropping the needle on the record. And it was very fast, and I didn't quite have the technique, but I gradually got there. And then eventually I found out that Les Paul actually played it at half speed, and the sound I'm listening to is double speed. So he duped me there, but nevertheless, it gave me some technique.
that's a really good answer. Thank you so much. So you guys are currently on tour in Europe with Judas Priest. Tell our listeners a little about your current tour and how touring has changed over the years for you.
Well, it's changed drastically. I mean, and as is the industry, But the bottom line is people still love to hear, live music, which is fantastic. And the bands we're talking about now, including ourselves, have been lucky enough to have a lot of songs that have stood the test of time over the years that people
Yeah.
still like to hear live in the live arena, if you like, and in their home. So it's lasted. The music has lasted since 1970 to now, and that's just wonderful. It's an amazing feeling.
Do you have a favorite show or concert experience since you're being part of Uriah Heep?
Very difficult to answer that because Uriah Heep,
Yeah.
we really do hit the world stage. We play concerts in 64 countries, so
Wow.
we if I choose this one, I'll miss that one. If I choose that one, I'll miss that one. But
I
but
kind of figured with a
if I had
50,
to, if
50
I had to
plus
choose,
years on the.
if I had to choose audience wise, I think actually in South America, it's almost a religion to their music, and that reflects in their reaction. They go crazy. So
Mhm.
yeah, probably South America is one of the places where music is a very, very important part of their life.
Okay. Okay, so a local musician, his name's Jim Gustafson. He is in a band called Poobah, and he actually played a gig with you guys back in the 70s with another band called Damnation, and he was part of a band called Biggie Rat, and it was at the Ohio Theater in Columbus. He sent me the flyer for that gig, and it was a whopping $3.50 ticket price. And that was probably a high premium, back then, or at least a standard industry
Well,
standard.
back then it was pretty standard, yeah. But when you listen to that now, it seems unbelievable, doesn't it?
Yes. One of our listeners, Michael, wants to know some of your original musical influences and who are you listening to today?
Original influences. Well, I kind of, as I say, I came through the jazz era into people like Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran, and then of course the Beatles, the Stones, and it kind of grew from there. In the 60s, it was certainly the late part of the 60s, it was all very nice melodic 3-minute songs with people wearing suits and doing little dance
Yeah.
moves, and playing little combos, little amp combos and that. And because come the 70s with bands like Uriah Heep, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, we shook the whole industry up. We were a bit rebellious, and we had Marshall stacks with their own skyline,
Mm-hmm.
if you like. They were huge, and everything was bigger, better, and louder. But the good thing about that was that a lot of great music came out of it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's down to the fact that in the old days, a record company signs you for a 6, 7 album deal. So you grew with the label grew with you, and you were allowed to develop your music. You didn't have to stay in that 3-minute format that in the late 60s you had to. So there was a real good musical growth there. And I think that's why the music has endured and is still with us today.
All right, yeah. A lot of our listeners said that they commented in that they saw Uriah Heep in Huntington, West Virginia, and in Charleston back in 1977 and 74. Is this your guys' first time coming through Marietta? And one of our best customers and one of my consigners, Mr. Brian, wanted to let you know that he thinks that you are the master of the slide guitar.
What would I? I wish I was. Actually,
He
the
wanted me
slide
to pass it
guitar,
on to you.
yeah, the slide guitar in the band was done by Ken Hensley, our
Ah,
keyboard player who played slide, and yeah, he was a fantastic slide player. Um, but yeah, I can't lay claim to that one. I'm sorry. Wah guitar, yes, but not the slide guitar.
have you guys ever came through Marietta before on a tour stop or just an overnight stay on your way through to maybe Columbus or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and after 54 years of touring, I think we've hit everywhere, and maybe twice and 3 times. But
Mhm.
occasionally, I have to admit, it gets a bit of a blur because we were doing like 9 months touring in America, and then
Mhm.
3 months in the studio. And it was a continuous roundabout that we couldn't get off, to be honest. And back then, when you mentioned Demons and Wizards, for that particular year, apart from all the touring we were doing, we recorded 2 albums in that one year, which was Demons and Wizards and Magician's birthday. And we toured constantly right through America. So, our feet never touched the ground.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine not being able to be home for like 90%. It takes a special person to want to be a touring musician, and you've done it for 50 years. Do you ever take a break?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, unfortunately, we're all given the COVID virus, so
Ah,
that kind of put
yeah.
the brakes on things, didn't it? But yeah, up to that point, we've always toured. We've always done, 200 shows a year. It's part of our DNA, and playing live is everything to us. So we just love getting out there doing it.
All right, the Hellfire and Chaos tour rolls into Marietta at the People's Bank Theater on May the 16th with the band Saxon. What can the crowd expect on this tour?
Well, when you put it together, there's probably on the stage that night there'll be a over 100 years of of British rock on that stage, being played that night. Um, I think, with both bands, we have a number of songs that each band has to play. Talking about ourselves, we've got to play Easy Living and July Morning and Gypsy and all those sort of songs. And Saxon have their own songs that they must play because that's what the fans want to hear. But also, we'll interject that with a few of the new songs for the new albums. They've got a new album out. We've got a new album out, Chaos and Color, and we'll put, about 4 songs in, perhaps in each of us will put 4 songs in each set, and the rest of it will be all the hits.
Yeah, we were talking earlier that Chaos and Color, the new album came out in 2023. Bernie Shaw still sounds absolutely fantastic. His vocals are amazing on this new album, and the
I
guitar work
actually
on
think,
it is so crunchy and so good.
yeah, I think this is his best work ever. Um, from all the albums that he's been on, I think Chaos and Color, he really does shine, and I think you're correct there. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you guys have toured the world over since 1970. And you got the new studio album coming out. Is recording in the studio in 2024 as exciting as it was back in the day? And how has recording changed over the years for you?
Well, we try and keep it as it was, if you like. We're not a band that'll send files to each other, and we need to
Mhm.
be in a room together, and we play. We just knock the songs out. Once we've got the arrangement, it's just a matter of going in and getting the right feel, the right sounds, and that take that connects with everyone. But definitely it's a band that plays in the studio at the same time. We just
Mm.
cordon off a few of the noisy bits, the drums or whatever, and we just go for it. If it bleeds over, that's fine by us because it's real then. And we also try not to use click tracks because it's just it takes
Hmm.
away some of the feel. If the band's on a pulse that moves a little bit, then it goes together. That's excitement. They're the things that put the hairs on your arm, coming
Yeah.
up, chills down your spine. And and I feel that a lot of producers, unfortunately, in my way of thinking is that in search of perfection, they lose all the magic that was there in the first place. Because you get a great take and then they try and put everything on the bass drum, everything on the
Mhm.
one, and you're taking away all the magic that's there. And the great thing about Jay Rushton, our producer, is the fact he says that's the take we're using and that's how it stays. If it sounds that good now, it's going to sound that good later on. It's going to sound
Yeah.
that good forever. So that's our mindset is to just be real, do it. Good thing about it is, we recorded that whole album in, I think, about 17 days. And that's
Really?
because
Okay.
when you go in and do a backing track, you virtually get most of it right there and then. You haven't got to go in and,
Mhm.
individually do all the parts, you've virtually got it, so it moves a lot quicker and it's more spontaneous and I think it connects through the grooves, in my humble opinion.
Okay. The next question I have for you actually came from the person who taught me everything that I know about rock music. And he taught me how to play guitar on my lunch breaks at school. He was a teacher of mine, and he taught me Black Sabbath songs and other classic rock songs during my lunch breaks. He wants to know which guitar rig you played through to get the tone for the guitars on the song Stealin' off the 73 album Sweet Freedom. Specifically, there was a Dallas Range Master and into a dimed Marshall. That's a very
Right.
in-depth question.
In those days, I was using a 1959 SLP Marshall Head, 100 watt, and a 4x12 cabinet. The straight one, I don't like the slant ones. They give off too much toppy edgy for me. I like to have that on the floor, the straight cabinet on the floor, and feel it coming through the floor. And then I was just plugged into a wah-wah. Simple as that.
All right,
No
Bob. There you
effects
go.
at all. I just let the and the guitar, of course, was a Black Beauty Les Paul Gibson, which was the guitar that I played most on in nearly every album, really. But now all my good guitars are left at home because the airlines were trashing them every time we went out on tour, and because the older they get, the more fragile they are. Certainly when they're being thrown 30 feet in the air by someone from the airline.
Mhm.
Um, so now I have a company in Toronto, in Canada, called Carparelli, and they make me a Mick Box signature guitar, which is an S4 Carparelli, but basically a Black Beauty, really. And they're stunning. They're fantastic guitars. I've been playing them for years now, and they really are top of the range. So any guitarists out there, get on the website and look at Carparelli guitars, because the guy knows what he's doing. The main guy is a guy called Mike Carparelli. It's his company, but he's got a passion and love for doing it as much as we got a passion and love for making music. Put those together, and you're on a winner.
All right. My one of my favorite things about Uriah Heep is the album artwork. Um, I'm sure you get this question all the time. The album artwork is some of the most iconic and easily recognizable out of all the vinyl in my collection. Personal favorites are, of course, Demons and Wizards. Abominog. I the demon on the front. Every time customers flip that one, it's an instantaneous. They got to pull it out to see what is this thing. And then I wrote down my other favorite one was Magician's Birthday. Got to go with that one. Can you expand a little bit on the did you use the same artist for some of these, and do you have any
Absolutely.
personal favorites?
We used Roger Dean
Roger.
on he was always a magician's birthday, and he was an up and coming artist at the time, and I think he was taken on by Yes and many other artists, and he just came to the studio, listened to the music, and produced this wonderful piece of art for Demons and Wizards. And I felt really at the time that it was the first time that the cover art and the audio were intrinsically linked. It became a package then, rather than just an
Mm-hmm.
album in a cover. And so those two albums were with Roger Dean, and the Abominable one. I can't remember the guy who did that, but I know that. We were at a point in our career where we're just sort of a rebirth of a new band, if you like, with new personnel, and we just wanted to steer completely away from what had gone before, and I think Abominable did that perfectly.
Yeah.
I think actually, if I'm right, I'm not sure you should quote me on this, but that particular year, I think it got voted as the second worst album cover of the year, but I think number one was Aussie. So we're in good company.
They're totally they're totally wrong. They're totally wrong. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I got one last question for you. Uriah Heep has rocked nonstop for 50 years, minus COVID, of course. What does the future hold for you personally and for the band?
It's quite simple. I mean, our touring book is full for the rest of the year. We're looking at even next year already. They're putting shows in, dates in, tours in. So I think the bottom line is, if you got your health, then you can carry on and do what you love, and that's what we've always had, a passion for it. That's been our driving force. And being a Uriah Heep's a great place to be, because we do get out in the world, we see the world, and we play many, many, many concerts. So I guess the next thing will be, we'll look at another album, and we'll keep touring. I don't think the word retiring will ever enter our heads, because I think when you put those kind of brick walls in front of you, they tend to drag you under. So we're always looking for more. We're always writing more. We're always playing many concerts, and we'll keep doing that as long as we have our health. You got your health, you
That's
got
what I
everything.
wanted to hear. Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. No retiring in
We're not
sight. I
putting the
love that.
break. I mean, in fact, I think we're busier than we've ever been, um,
Yeah.
in the position we are right now. Because it's non-stop, and we love
All
it.
right. Well, thank you.
It's what we
Thank
live
you,
for.
thank you so much for taking some time out while you're on tour over. You said you're in Austria today. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you. Make sure you guys check out the new album Chaos and Caller. It came out in 2023. It is an absolute banger. And I personally want to invite you guys to my store, First City Records. We're 1 block away from the theater if you have time between sound check and showtime. And otherwise, I will see you guys at the concert at the People's Bank Theater. The date on that one is May the 16th with the band Saxon. Mick Box, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending some
I
time with
look
me.
forward to it, my friend, and thank you very much for your time. Happy days,
Yes,
everyone.
have a wonderful day. Yes,
We'll
have
see
a
you
great
out there.
show.
Bye for now,
Good.
mate.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.